Hi, I'm Peter Wooding. In this week's Christian Weekly News, we speak to Pastor Scott Lively, who faces a lawsuit simply for defending marriage during a series of conferences in Uganda. We report on a unique event called Hallowed 2013, a Christian alternative celebration to Halloween. And we speak to Christian actor Nonso Anozie about his latest role as Samson in the Bible series set to feature on Channel 5 this December. A number of major businesses have withdrawn their support for Stonewall's annual awards ceremony in light of the continuation of the homosexual lobby group's Bigot Award. Last year, Christian Concerned supporters brought the nature of the Bigot Award to Barclays, Coutts and PwC, who have since withdrawn their sponsorship of this year's event. Meanwhile, one person up for the Bigot Award this year is American evangelist Scott Lively, who faces a lawsuit simply for defending marriage during a series of conferences in Uganda. We spoke to Pastor Lively to get his perspective on his case.
I went to Uganda and I preached the Bible. I gave advice and information about the history of the gay movement, the nature of homosexuality, the hazards to society, consistent with the biblical worldview. Never advocated violence, never advocated hatred. It's all a lie. And yet they've taken those, what I did, misrepresented it in order to claim that I went to Uganda to begin a campaign of persecution of homosexuals with the intent of wanting them to be exterminated, consistent with their narrative. And because this is an African country, mysterious to most of the world, especially America and Europe, then it's easier for them to kind of paint that picture. Well, I've been at this for a very long time. It's never easy. But the Bible tells us that those who desire to live godly in Christ Jesus will suffer persecution. And if Jesus wasn't able to fulfill his ministry without being persecuted, and if the apostles weren't able to speak the truth of the gospel without suffering what they did, then I'm certainly not going to complain about the very minor persecution that I face in this day and age. Well, I've been sued for crimes against humanity. It's surreal, but I've been sued for crimes against humanity of persecution of homosexuals, and in my own federal court system in the United States, by a tiny group of homosexual activists from Uganda. And really, I don't blame them. They're just pawns in this. The real driving force is the so-called Center for Constitutional Rights, of all things, of all names, which is a group of Marxist radicals who are really driving this lawsuit. They want to silence me. They want to perpetuate the idea in the international community that all disapproval of homosexuality leads inevitably to hatred, violence, and murder, and that therefore it must be stamped out in international law, the same way that they're able to do it in every other subcomponent of societies that they get control of. Well, they filed the lawsuit initially in March of 2012, but that's where we are now. Our motion to dismiss was denied. We now have to go forward into the discovery process and toward trial. Well, I'm afraid that in the political climate that we're in, that it's more likely than not that I'm going to be found liable for this. I think the powers that be, that the outcome that they're trying to achieve here in finding liability for crimes against humanity on the very limited facts of this case is so valuable to them in terms of their international agenda that I think that they're going to do almost anything that they can do to sort of force the result that they want. And so I'm half expecting that, that this is going to go all the way. I'm going to end up with some kind of massive judgment, and that they're going to get a declaration, as they've asked, from the court that these incidents amount to a crime against humanity, that they can then take that into international court. I think this is a bigger. I think I'm facing very, very significant political forces in this that are going to do what they have to do to make it work. Hopefully I'm wrong in that. I don't want to have to deal with that, but when I signed on dealing with this issue, I surrendered my life to Jesus Christ. I am not going to stop speaking His truth. I am not going to shrink into the woodwork. I'm not going to modify the things that I say. I speak the simple, plain truth of God without apology, and whatever cost that comes with, I'm willing to pay. Any prayers that you want to lift up, certainly welcome. And for my family, this is hard on my wife. For all the other believers around the world that haven't had the background that I've had. I was an alcoholic and a drug addict for 16 years. The Lord allowed me to go through things that toughened me up, that prepared me to be able to handle something that's this difficult. But there's a lot of people around the world right now that are very fearful when they see things like this happen, and that we should be praying for them as well, that all of us in the body of Christ, we're all in this together, and things are probably going to get a lot worse in the future than they are now. And that, I just pray that out of this experience, out of the things that they're watching, would come courage, and that would come a sense of inspiration, that this is what Christianity really is about, standing for the truth of God, come what may.
Here at Christian Concern, we're always encouraging Christians to engage in every aspect of public life, including in the film industry. One person doing just that is well-known Christian actor Nonso Anozie, whose latest role is playing Samson in the Bible series, set to feature on Channel 5 this December. But first of all, I spoke to Nonso about his own personal testimony.
Well, for me, my background is I grew up in London, I grew up in Camden. I come from a very Christian family, so God is no stranger to me. I grew up in a very Christian household. My mother prays probably all the hours that God says. For me, I really found my relationship with God when I was about 16, and I walk with God today. My acting career started when I was about 18. I auditioned for drama school, and then after drama school I joined the Royal Shakespeare Company. I moved on to the National Theatre and toured with Cheek by Jowl Theatre Company, and then film started to happen. And now I think in the last 2 or 3 years I can really see how my film career has really started to explode. With Game of Thrones and The Grey, I'm now working on Cinderella with Walt Disney, Ender's Game for Odd Lot and Summit, and Lionsgate is coming out this November in the cinemas near you, so make sure you watch. So I'm really experiencing a lot of blessings in my life right now, and I can really feel the hand of God in my life and results of living a life of faith. Yeah, my testimony is that I grew up in inner city London, in Camden, to a single parent household where mother was struggling, but with faith, she instilled in us qualities that have made sure that I've kept them in my walk in life as an adult. And I thank God for her in my life, and I thank God for revealing himself to me in a way that he has, because if you're looking at my life statistically, if you're looking at some of the young boys that I hung out with when I was a kid, I shouldn't be here right now. I shouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now. And I just thank God that he has blessed me in a way to realize a destiny that could have so easily been taken away from me if I had stepped 1 or 2 inches off the track. And I thank God for keeping me on the straight and narrow and giving me, teachers, mentors, my mother, teachers that I've met along the way, people that you will meet at events like CRE that have been very influential in my life, and I thank God for that. I thank God for that. That's my testimony. I mean, everybody I work with knows that I'm a Christian. I don't make any, I don't hide it. I don't hide, the fact that I'm a Christian person. And when it comes to making decisions about the jobs that I do, I always read the script and I look at the character and I go to sleep on it. I sleep on it and I pray on it. And I wake up in the morning and I normally have a confident outlook as to what I'm going to do, whether I'm going to do the job or I'm not going to do the job. I don't just do every job that comes my way, because I think that way you're influenced by the environment rather than being influenced by your decision making. And I believe in making decisions and moving in a direction that is productive for a career, a lifelong career. So yes, God is involved in my decision making a great deal. But I don't choose roles for people to so that people will be satisfied with me. I understand that sometimes people may look to actors as role models, and I understand that, and I try to live my life in the way that Jesus would want me to live. But I may do some things that people have a problem with. I do some things that people are amazed about. You can't please everybody, and especially in the acting world. But as long as I and my relationship with God is intact and I feel that I'm doing right,